Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Juan's World, and you'll see that I'm on my couch again, not out filming on the roads. I am actually doing a lot of videos still on the roads, but I want to change things up a little bit here on Juan's World. So today I want to talk about some health issues. In particular, I want to talk about YouTube videos that tout various things, like the 10 best vegetables to eat if you have memory problems, or the worst foods for cholesterol, or whatever. They come up all the time, and I want to talk about them. So let's get into it. I'm not going to mention any names, but I do get 3 or 4 different doctors showing up in my YouTube feed based on whatever YouTube's algorithm is that shows that I'm interested in nutrition, and so here's one on kale or fried foods or sugar or whatever. And this is the point I want to make right at the outset, is that you can't trust any of them. You have to go beyond what they say and find out for yourself what is accurate. Now, you will commonly see on YouTube and on various social media, do your own research. Well, yeah, do your own research, but what does that mean? It doesn't mean just doing a Google search and picking up the first 5 hits, or doing a search on YouTube and picking up the first 5 hits. That's not, well, it's a kind of research, but it's not scholarly research. Scholarly research means looking for peer-reviewed articles in journals that are respectable. And the point I want to make is that even these are not necessarily accurate, that you have to be a critical thinker. It's very complicated. It just isn't a matter of saying, okay, I've watched 3 or 4 YouTube videos and so now I'm all set. So let's talk about these things in personal terms, first of all. The last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been to the doctor a couple of times because once a year I have a routine checkup, and they check all kinds of stuff with my blood work, like cholesterol, triglycerides, diabetes test, as well as a blood glucose, fasting, and this last time they also did an ultrasound on my vital organs down in my abdomen, including my prostate. Found out my prostate's a little bit enlarged, but it's benign. 10 lead EKG and so forth, like the whole shebang. And my cholesterol's a little bit high, or was a little bit high, let's put it that way. It's not anymore. And my blood pressure's not as low as it could be, but otherwise everything's okay. And I do watch what I eat. But the thing is that if you go by what YouTube channels tell you to eat, you're all over the map. Because there's all kinds of people pushing all kinds of diets. And when you go on one of those channels, and I'm not mentioning any names. There's a couple that I could, but I'm not going to. They come on and they're all very professional looking. They all have MD after their names, and they all then authoritatively say things like, like, you will be 1,000 times better if you take vitamin D daily. Reminds me of Linus Pauling, who used to advocate taking like mega doses of vitamin C to prevent colds and flu and so forth. And it's all faddish, all of it. There was a time, for example, not so many years ago, when the Mediterranean diet was this big thing. And let's just back up a bit here and talk about statistics. Because the first thing you need to do when you're dealing with any kind of social issue, including diet, is to look at populations where there is, for example, low incidence of heart failure. And it was discovered that there was a very strong correlation between people who lived in the warmer climates of the Mediterranean and low heart disease. And so doctors thought that it must be their diet. So they proclaimed the Mediterranean diet, which includes certain ways of cooking, certain fruits and vegetables and meats, glass of wine each day, and so forth. And what they discovered was that when people who did not live in the Mediterranean region went on the diet, nothing changed. So that tells you that there's a difference between correlation, like you correlate this population with this particular health issue, but it doesn't mean that one causes the other. And the most significant problem is that sometimes there's a third factor that is influencing both. I used to tell my students, like, you have a very strong correlation between the price of gasoline and my age. Like, as I get older, so the price of gasoline goes up. Substitute in there the price of whatever you want. But so does that mean if you kill me that the price of gasoline will stop going up? No, because the two are not directly correlated. The passage of time is the third factor that influences me getting older and gasoline getting more expensive. So the Mediterranean diet and health issues could very well be connected with things like genetics, that people living in, southern France and Spain and Italy and so forth have a certain kind of genetic profile that makes them less susceptible to heart disease. Could be climate, like warmer weather might have an influence. Again, we'll go back to vitamin D. Could be because they get major doses of vitamin D through sunlight. There's all kinds of things that could be affecting the heart issues that don't have anything to do with diet. And I see on these YouTube channels them promoting all kinds of dietary issues. The Mediterranean diet has gone out the window, but the keto diet is now strong. There's low carb. There was a time when eggs were really bad for you. Now eggs are good for you. Coffee, bad. Coffee, good, and so on. Caffeine, is caffeine good for you or bad for you? What is it about coffee? Is it the caffeine, or is it the other ingredients in the coffee and so forth? Kale, is kale good for you? Well, like right now, the great enemy is sugar. Like at one time it was fat, because people thought, okay, if I'm overweight, if I have, basically if I have too much fat or I'm putting on fat, then it must be because I'm eating fat. And that went on for a long time until it was discovered, no, that certain kinds of fat, there are some fats that are good fats, like you should be using extra virgin olive oil. But trans fat's not so. What about the fat in red meat? Well, now it seems to be okay, but for a time it was not considered to be okay. But sugar is considered to be the big enemy that causes all kinds of problems, from obesity to heart failure to conditions in the brain and so forth. Well, I don't know if it's going to last or not. I mean, I can understand the point. I get a little funny when I see people saying, well, all sugar is bad, including all fruit sugar. Like, you shouldn't be eating an apple a day because the fructose in apples is just, as far as the body is concerned, it's just sugar. Whether it's dextrose or lactose in milk, or fructose in fruit, or sucrose in table sugar, it's all going to go the same way into blood sugar, and so you should eliminate it all. Well, I don't know. What I do know is what I can tell about my own body. I know when I've put on weight. I know what I need to do to assist my health condition. One of them being exercise. That's one of the things that I've started a fairly disciplined regimen on of mild to moderate exercise, 1 hour a day, 6 days a week, which translates into about 20 kilometers by bicycle or 3 to 4 miles walking every day with 1 day off. And I can notice the difference because I can tell with the circulation in my body. The problems that I've been having have been circulation. My feet and ankles have been gathering fluid. It's known as edema or pedal edema, like swelling of the feet. And that's been happening recently. And what the doctor told me was to sleep with my feet elevated. Like, as long as my feet are higher than my heart when I'm sleeping, then it'll go away. Well, it didn't. But it has gone away because I've been exercising more regularly. Up until this past month, I've had the bad habit of sitting at my desk, 14 hours a day, go out, take a 1 or 2 kilometer walk to the market, and that's about it. And it's just not good enough. I need to be exercising more. And the doctors will agree. Don't see that on many YouTube channels, some, but when it comes to diet, well, I don't eat a lot of red meat. I eat a fair amount of fish, fair amount of green vegetables, leafy vegetables. I eat a lot of leeks when I can get them. Certain amount of potatoes, because among other things, potatoes have vitamin C in them. I drink a fair amount of water with lemon juice added, and it all seems to be working. So if we go back to research, do your own research. What I do when I need to figure out whether anything is good or bad for me, whether it's diet or exercise or whatever, is I look at multiple peer-reviewed journals. I can start off with YouTube videos, sure, but they are relying on the research of other people. You need to go back to the research that they are relying on, because they are not researchers themselves. Again, I'm not going to mention any names, but there's one doctor who's like really gung-ho about vitamin D. I mean, like, vitamin D will cure shingles, cancer, put vitamin D cream on your skin, take vitamin D supplements, and blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, there's probably some element of truth to what he's saying, but you need to go back to the articles that he is relying on, and he doesn't often say which ones, and that's a bad sign. When you go to a YouTube channel, there should be somewhere in it where it says, like, if you want more information, go to this article, or whatever. And I don't mean articles in popular magazines like Science or even Scientific American. If you rely on Scientific American, they will at least have a bibliography, and you can go back to the original articles, and you can make a decision for yourself. You can be a critical thinker, not basing your judgment on what's called confirmation bias. Like, you read an article that says eggs are really good for you. So, yeah, I love eggs, and so I'll accept that. Like, look at all the different angles and get the latest. Don't look at an article that was published in 1998. Don't look at any articles that were published before, 2021 maybe. Like, as up to date as possible, and use your noggin. Don't just rely on things that sound good. All right, well, that's my being a professor for a little while. Do as you like, but pay attention. And if you like my videos, please tell your friends, please subscribe, and I'll be back on the road on my bicycle on Friday. So see you then. Bye.